Hey, Oopal's cat and Mr. Bear. Yes, about as dynamic as my terriers get. So, what I'm going to talk about in two videos probably, because I go on far too long when I talk, just a camera, is antibiotic use and grit down. If you watch this video and you take my advice and you get seriously injured or hurt, I will sue you for following my advice. Do not follow the advice of people. Get medical information and use it. There's lots of medical information available. Find it, use it, have it available in ways you can use and grit down. So, first off, bacteria are not viruses. Okay? Antibiotics do absolutely nothing to treat viruses. So flus and probably colds are not going to work with antibiotics, and you shouldn't be taking them. Some types of sore throat will work with antibiotics, some types will not. Again, have a pathophysiology book available to you. Have a basic nursing care book available to you. Have a basic nursing assessment book available to you. You don't have to read them. Do not buy them new. They cost hundreds of dollars. You can get them easily available second-hand, and up to 10 years behind times is fine for that type of a book. Not for the drug book though. I get a drug book that's within 2 to 3 years of the date. You don't need 2018. There's some drugs won't be in it, the ones released in 2017, but realistically speaking the information is there that you need. Okay. Don't get infected with a virus. Food and water safety, hygiene, basic stuff that will kill you if you don't pay attention to it. The only use for antibiotics in the flu is if you have a secondary infection. So using basic nursing care, you can keep people hydrated, you're going to turn them frequently, you're going to get them to sit upright at 45 degrees or more in bed, and you're going to make them cough a lot and try and clear any mucus they've got there. So hopefully you'll avoid secondary bacterial pneumonia, but you might get it. Human antibiotics are what you should store and what you should have if you wish to self-medicate and grit down. Most people can't get hold of them. Some of us can, some of us can't. If you can get hold of them, if you're going to self-medicate, keep them all in a dry, cool and dark environment. Studies show that almost all antibiotics will work at 80% efficiency for up to 10 years or more beyond their expiry date, providing the package isn't damaged and they haven't got too hot. Now there are a few antibiotics where you don't want to do that. I believe it's all of the tetracyclines. But look it up yourself. The other thing you should do if you don't want to buy any of that stuff and you can't get hold of it, you might want to email me and get a hard copy of the PowerPoint that this video is based on and link to. Pet antibiotics and humans. Very popular in prepping. Very, very popular. Lots of people buying these antibiotics and they have no idea how to diagnose which to use for when or how to use them. So that's what I'm saying. If you're going to do that, take the extra step or don't bother, because it can be dangerous. I personally would use them and grit down if I couldn't get a doctor and I couldn't get human antibiotics. I would, but then again I got some skills so I can figure out what I need to use. So the purpose of this video is to try and give you, these two videos, to try and give you some ideas. So generally speaking, gram-negative infections are more harmful than gram-positive ones and tend to be more resistant to antibiotic use. So I'm going to put a few slides and you've just seen them. Have a look at them, pause the video, think about them, but if you want copies of slides, it's much better to have them in a hard copy. Hello Mr. Bear. Now, generally speaking you need to assume it's a gram-negative bacterial infection, and the reason for that is that generally speaking gram-negative infections will kill you whereas gram-positive infections tend not to. Also, gram-negative infections are more common than gram-positive infections. So gram-negative is your first go-to fish antibiotic, except if the bowels or stomach have been cut open or penetrated, in which case you want to go to gram-positive absolutely immediately. Now, if that's the case, you can try gram-positive antibiotics. Bear in mind there's going to be a problem absorbing it. Bear in mind they're probably going to die, unless you can go in there and surgically repair the system, and you'll probably need IV antibiotics. But if you've got some gram-positive and you think it's safe for them to take them, and they've got a penetrating wound of the bowel or stomach, you can try that. I don't think it's going to help. Now, that brings in the other thing. Have you got a stethoscope? Can you listen to bowel sounds in the 4 quadrants? The 4 quadrants? Can you assess whether the belly is safe or not? Again, basic nursing care books, basic assessment books, good stuff to have. Okay, so which antibiotics are you going to use? This is the part that people don't cover in traditional prepping videos, fish antibiotics. And they really shouldn't be doing them unless, you should not be storing them unless you know which to use and when to use it. So basically, penicillin and sulfonamides are for gram-positive, and streptomycin, chloramphenicol and tetracycline are basically for gram-negatives. So which would you use first? If you've got somebody who's really sick, very high fever, as obvious signs of infection because they have severe rash or whatever like that, or if they have a tooth abscess, what are you going to use first? As I said, you'd use a gram-negative first, unless you think it's a gram-positive. So you would use a tetracycline, or I would probably not be available because they expire quickly, tetracyclines, but you might want to use chloramphenicol. Tends to be used only for eye drops. Streptomycin, fairly widely available. Anyway, treat for 1 week, 7 days, on the schedule from the drug book, based upon the weight and the adult age of the patient, not necessarily what's on the label of a bottle. Because remember, you're not a fish. Treat for up to 2 weeks if it seems to be working. You have to look at the treatment regimes, at least 7 days. Some can go 5 days. Cipro is a classic one where you can take 1 dose if you've got a bad infected stomach on holiday, and it actually usually will cure it straight away. But again, we're not talking about GP tummy in grid down, we're talking about that's probably a weekly thing. If the person doesn't get well, or is getting worse, and you still want to treat them, remember, we can't treat everybody, you might want to continue the full drug regime unless they're having side effects. If the illness is side effectual, again, drug book, stop it straight away. If they're having serious side effects, stop it and start something else, either a similar type of drug or similar. Now, there are basically multiple types of antibiotic. Antibiotic is antiviral, antibacterial, and there's basically 6 types. There's the penicillins, the cephalosporins, the aminoglycosides, the tetracyclines, the macrolides, and the fluquinolones. If you're going to treat and medicate and grid down, I recommend you get at least 2 types of each of those. Again, it's kind of helpful to know what they are, so if you want this, look it up yourself or ask me for a hard copy. So we're now at 4 minutes and a half. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start on the back part of the video, and then I'm going to break for a second part where I talk about a few other issues. Amoxicillin. Amoxicillin treats multiple types of bacteria in different parts of the body. So it's a useful thing to have in your toolkit. It can prevent infections occurring. For example, if you have a tooth that's loose, or you knock a tooth out, or you're going to remove a tooth in grid down, you want to put them on antibiotics, and you want to put them on amoxicillin for at least 24 to 48 hours prior to the extraction of the tooth. Teeth, dental care, not my specialty, but it's an important thing. Amoxicillin is also used to treat other things as well, but I won't get into that. Flucloxacillin. Flucloxacillin is very good for gram-positive, and has very specific effects that you can use. Usually an infection of the ear, nose and throat, infection of the blood, bones and joints, chest, gut, heart, kidneys and skin, and meningitis, and urine infections that are caused by gram-positives all respond usually well to flucloxacillin. It's a good drug. Flucloxacillin and amoxicillin, definitely have those in your kit. Flucloxacillin is also, I'd start on somebody who had serious burns, large scale burns in grit down. I think that's a good idea. If they have pneumonia, I would start on flucloxacillin. If they have gastroenteritis, osteomyelitis, bone infections, I would start on flucloxacillin. Cefaxillin, lungs and airway, respiratory tract, bronchitis and mild to moderate pneumonia. Skin, bone, joints, urine, genitals, gums, teeth, ear, middle ear, brain, is a good thing to start on cefaxillin. Gentamicin, most people have heard about gentamicin. Again, lungs, blood, urinary tract, good for them. Prevention of infection in eyes and ears that have been damaged. So if you scratch your eye, or if you have your ear bitten by a savage bull terrier in grid down, you might want to use gentamicin systemically, which means you eat it or inject it, or you might actually want to use it topically as well. Gentamicin eye drops, good idea to have them. Tetracycline. So tetracycline is used for bacterial infections, specifically pneumonia and any respiratory tract infection. Skin, genitals, urinary systems. It's also an alternative use drug for Lyme disease and for the treatment and prevention of anaphylaxis. Anthrax. Alright, I'm going to make this a two-part because I'm getting a bit tired. Au revoir, see you tomorrow.
Is pining for her in a people carrier. There might be buildings and pretty things to see like that, but architecture won't do.